Hello, fellow Tylenol enjoyers. Today's video is going to be a bit different. You know, the military is a strange place. You'll meet all sorts of people that you never think that you would have ever met in your entire life had you not done some type of service, right? So you're going to meet some of the best and some of the worst people imaginable in the military. So today's story is about someone that I know who I'm not going to use their real name or anything, but he is basically my IRL lolcow that I know. Someone that should not exist in a modern society. I don't know. I don't know what makes this man tick, right? He's just, what's the best way to describe him? I think the best way to describe him is, imagine you're starting your playthrough of Fallout New Vegas, right? And you decide, okay, I'm going to put 10 points into strength, and all the extra points for strength are all going to come from like charisma, speech, and like intelligence, right? So you got like a 10 in strength, right? And then you have like a 1 in intelligence and like a 1 in charisma and like a 1 in I think it's like speech or whatever. But yeah, so basically, this guy is a brick shit house. He is literally built like a freaking freight train. Like, this guy is like roided out of his mind, right? He didn't always used to be kind of like roided out of his mind when I first met him, but let's get into how I actually met this guy. And so the name we're going to use for him for this story, his name is going to be Blewett. That's his name for the story, alright? Follow along here, alright? So, my unit went on rotation to the Middle East. I'm not going to say what country it is, but when I went there, it was a lot of, like, kind of like in garrison, you know, not really doing anything cool or exciting. It was just what you would have been doing stateside, but, over in the Middle East, and it's like 139 degrees outside. So myself and some of the other guys in my platoon, we were shuffled off to this thing called the wash rack detail. And when I was there, it was just mainly, you know, spraying down vehicles, right, cleaning them, making sure that there's no contaminants or anything on them for when they would ship them back stateside, right? And like, you would have inspectors come and check out the vehicles. And so when I was there, I was going to the gym, I was working out, and I met this very, very strange guy. His name's Blewett, right? That's our character for this story, right? And he was obsessed with working out, and I started talking to him, and I'm like, you know, I think there's something a little bit off with the guy, but, you know, he seems, you know, innocent enough, I guess, or whatever, you know, he seems harmless. And so I hung out with him, and I'd go work out with him at the gym. And I remember at the gym, he was like looking at this one guy. He just like kept staring at this like big buff dude or whatever, right? And so, mind you, Blewett, he's like a built guy, but he's not like huge or anything, right? But he's definitely like built. He's not like steroid huge or anything. And he walks up to this guy. He walks up to the big guy that he was miring or whatever. He walks up to him, and he just like casually asks the guy. He's like, hey, what steroids do you do? And I was just kind of like, do you walk up to people and just kind of ask that? Like, So anyway, big guy tells Blewett what cycle or whatever he's on, and like runs him through it, and it's like, okay, you know. He finds out, and he's like, oh, I'm gonna go do that when I get back stateside or whatever. And I'm like, okay, I'm not sure if that's a good idea or not. But so anyway, we eventually get back stateside, right? And he pretty much immediately starts like ordering like steroids from like some like Eastern European like some Eastern European dude in like his babushka's basement or something. He's getting like, you know, stuff from there, and he starts like shooting up, and he starts getting like starts getting huge, right? He's becomes, you know, kind of like the physical state that he's at now, just juice 24/7. And so he tells me that he's starting to see this girl or whatever, right? And he kind of like hypes up this girl and stuff, and I'm like, okay. And so eventually with this girl he's seen, she asked him to knock her up so that way she wouldn't have to go on deployment. That is a story as old as time in the military of women trying to dodge deployments by, you know, having kids, right? So anyway, in his infinite wisdom, he decided, oh yeah, sure, I'm just gonna knock her up or whatever, right? So he does, and then she turns around and accuses him of rape, and she gets like the base police involved, and he's getting investigated. He's going through a really rough time, right? And so I remember I was at like the mess hall, right? I'm standing in line with him, just talking to him, and he's like, hey, look right there, there she is, and I'm like, who? And he's like my baby mama, and I'm like where? And I'm like looking, and he like points. He points to like the most busted looking freaking chick I'd ever seen, right? Like this chick got like, I don't know, man. She got beat. She got freaking like pulverized with like the ugly stick. Like I don't know what he saw in her, but she was rough. Like, not even like a deployment like 5. I'm talking like a deployment 0.5. It was so bad. Like I looked, and I looked at him. I saw her, looked back at him, and I'm like, you procreated with that? You what? Like you what? Why would you? Why the hell would you do that? Are you freaking nuts? So we eventually leave the mess hall, and some time passes. I don't really get to see or talk to the guys too much because he's in a different brigade than me. So eventually he ends up going on rotation to an Asian country, right? And so he comes to my barracks room, and he drops a whole tough box full of freaking steroids and like used syringes. He's like, hey, yeah, I can't do anything with these. I can't take them with me, and I need somewhere to put them. And I'm like, so you want me to keep all these? And he's like, yeah, I want you to keep them. And I'm like, okay, I guess I'll keep it. So he eventually ended up doing the rotation or whatever, and I didn't speak to him until like years later. We like fell out of contact, right? But he always kind of stayed in the back of my mind. I was like, I wonder what he's doing right now. What is Blewett doing right now? And eventually, I was able to get a hold of him again years later after I had left the military. So I spoke to a friend of mine who was on rotation with him in this Asian country, right? And so my friend decided to red pill Blewett. He decided to get him up to speed on certain topics, right? And so my friend and Blewett are standing in the DFAC line, and he's like serving food to people, right? Serving food to people, like helping out in the DFAC for whatever detail they're on or whatever, right? And so Blewett starts telling people about a certain group of people, right? I'm not going to name that group, but you can use your imagination here.
Don't forget to hold quick conversations with our younger guests, too.
I was just telling the guy before you that the Jews control the weather.
So that's what he was basically doing. He was telling that to anybody and everybody walking through the line. He had zero filter, and my friend had to rein him in and essentially tell him to shut the fuck up before you get us thrown out of the military for saying such things and being associated with you. So when I eventually did establish contact with Blewett again, he was back in his hometown, chronically smoking weed, and every single time I talked to him, it was always his entire personality was essentially, "Hey, bro, I got weed, bro, no, it doesn't control my life, bro, I can stop whenever I want, bro, come on, bro, it's just weed." So eventually, when he was up in his hometown, he started working at a local supermarket as some type of employee there. I don't know what his exact job was, but I think he might have been like one of the cart corral collector dudes or whatever. And so one day, he's in the parking lot working, putting away carts or whatever, right? And so he sees a young doctor, lawyer, scholar type. He sees him leave the cart in the middle of the parking lot, right? He just leaves it there. And Blewett sees this happening and decides to have a nuclear level crash out over the guy leaving the cart there, right? And so he goes off and the guy basically tells him that, like, you know, you're the reason why civilization is falling apart or whatever because you don't return the cart, and just freaks out on this guy. Just absolutely fucking full-fledged meltdown, right? And I think he, like, took the cart and he, like, flipped it. Like, the cart he left in the middle of the parking lot, he, like, took it and flipped it and, like, threw it out of anger. Like, had a straight, like, roid rage moment. And so that happens, and then he goes back inside the store, and the doctor, lawyer, engineer guy comes from the parking lot inside the store and tries fighting him. And so Blewett goes full Super Saiyan here, and basically, you know, gets up in a, you know, fighting type, like, blades up, puts up his hands like he's ready to box the guy. And so the guy runs off, you know, and that's the end of at least that, right? So I find out about all this, but he calls me and he's like, "Hey man, my job wants a full written statement from me about what happened." And I'm like, yeah, you should probably just tell them the truth of what happened because they have cameras, they're gonna see everything, right? And he's like, "But bro, I think they're gonna fire me." And I'm like, I mean, they may or may not, I don't know. And so they basically, like, had him in, like, the back of the store, like, interrogating him, and he had to make a report to the police. He told them basically everything about the shopping cart incident, and he you know, he gets put on, like, he's, like, temporarily relieved of work or whatever, right, pending an investigation. And, like, a few days later, they call him up. They're like, yeah, you're terminated. You instigated that entire incident, you know, because, you know, he did. And he just couldn't control himself. And not to mention that, but this guy also doesn't really take showers, and his room is pretty bad. Like, wherever he goes, like, the place kind of turns into almost like a hoarding type situation. Like your standard, you know, R9K, you know, like, bedroom setup that you would see on there. Somebody would post, be like, "Hey, rate how clean my room is," or whatever, right? So that's gonna be it for this. Is gonna be a 2-part series here because there's a lot to cover with him. And to make it clear, it only gets worse from here. Like, it's steadily, like, steady decline here of the things that he does and, like, how much worse things get. But yeah, if you enjoyed the video, leave a like, comment, and I'll have the second part to the Blewett story up eventually here. But anyways, I'll catch you guys on the next video.